And we're back.
Okay, so last time, probably during our last segment, I mentioned we talked about coronavirus and the news about the coronavirus, and I asked you guys if you trusted the news that we were getting about it.
Yeah.
And you guys seemed to be, I couldn't tell if it was sarcasm or if you guys were wholeheartedly saying, oh yeah, I believe everything they tell us about it.
Yeah, do we say that? Everything?
No, we
I don't think we said everything.
we didn't say everything, but we do believe the virus is real.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
Dr. Fauci was 90% correct in directing people wearing masks. I mean, he did make mistake about, in the beginning that don't wear masks, but it was because of there was a shortage.
It was political.
Yeah. So he did make some mistakes.
Those deaths are on his hands. All the deaths that occurred with no mask, that's on him.
Yeah. Not pushing on Trump was his mistake. So the things that he knew that, were false, he did not, push back on those things. So, yeah. I mean, not everything we believe, we don't believe. Well, let me put it this way. I don't have evidence for that, the virus was lab made.
Mm. Is there a report released on that recently?
Yeah.
Yeah. WHO came out and it was more confusing.
Perfect.
But they did say that, it started somewhere in that market, but we don't know.
Okay.
So we have, there's like an intelligence organization with a 4-letter acronym that is responsible for keeping up with medical stuff like that, like viruses and the health of our citizens and military when we're abroad. And, they're just keeping us abreast on this stuff. This is what they do. They research these things. They're tracking all this stuff. Now, this was the Trump administration ended the pandemic early warning program to detect coronaviruses. It's a $200 million funding, right? He ended it September 30th, 2019. These dates should be ringing a little alarm bells because this was right before the pandemic started. And it's also, I had to write some of these dates down because I just couldn't remember them. But okay, so remember last time I was here, again, during that last segment, I mentioned Event 201.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I don't think you guys are familiar
We
with
didn't.
that.
We looked it up, though.
The tabletop exercise
Right.
with the... Okay, so, of course, you're right. You mentioned that Johns Hopkins does host, stuff like that, other scenarios, right? There have been several of them over the years. But for me, the timing of that one, the more I looked into it, it was just like a smoking gun to... There was definitely some insider knowledge, you know what I mean? Some foreknowledge of what eventually was the actual pandemic. And it's not just the timing, you know what I mean? So you had, go again. It was John Hopkins. Bill Gates was there doing some hosting as well, and some CEOs, right? Well, then a lot of some CEOs were like just dropping off in 2019. Like a whole bunch of CEOs were just stepping down, and so did that have something to do with it? They must have had some foreknowledge as well. You know what I mean?
But why would they do that? I mean, even if they had something to do with it, why? The question would be, why would they want to do that?
Okay, no, I know. You asked me that last time, and that is a good question. But like I said last time, and again, it's important. But before we can to entertain the why, we should establish if, in fact, does it seem like proving these things is hard, right? I mean, where is it going to get us? I don't know, but I'm just interested. I'm interested in truth, and I've been paying really close attention to like the news that we've been getting about the coronavirus, and some of the information from the coronavirus task force themselves just seems like BS. Like, why would they go that way? Like putting the death certificates as labeling everything a coronavirus death when they clearly didn't die of the coronavirus. Like they admitted that. If you guys didn't look that up for yourselves, you just got to take my word for it. But it was. Not Dr. Burke, but one of the other coronavirus task force doctors that said that this is how we count COVID deaths. She couldn't have been more clear about how she said it. She stated it. And she even used the example, even if you die in a car accident, but you tested positive for COVID before you died, that's counted as a COVID death. And these numbers are the numbers that are being reported, on the on the daily, counts. And so my whole point last time was that the numbers are being inflated, and not just that way, but in other ways too. Like they're rounding way up. Like if you test positive for COVID-19, well, you could possibly have infected 16 other people. So they're counting you plus 16 as 17. That's the number they report as actual cases. But that's just it's a figure. It's a number. It's not accurate.
Well, I think that's how viral transmission works, though. That's how they've always done that. It's not anything new. With infections like that, that's how they do it.
I mean, more we're finding out that they underreported. Yeah. Because in New York, Andrew Cuomo was under fire because he did not. Apparently, he hit some of the nursing home deaths.
Is he stepping down yet?
I don't know, but that was one case in New York and also in Florida. The governor was also under fire because apparently they hit the numbers also.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, DeSantis.
And so I don't think it was inflated, but I think they were trying to underreport, especially the red states.
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe there was some...
Because they wanted to open up their economy faster than they wanted,
Yeah. Well, that was more ideological than anything else.
So that's what I think. As far as pandemic, and starting right when they ended the program in China,
again, that could just
maybe
be
it was
bad
just
timing.
coincidence.
Yeah, sure, that could just be bad timing.
Yeah.
It was right around that same time that our military was over there in Wuhan for a military where they do their little war games thing. This was on or about October 18th as well. The same time that they were doing the Event 201 here, our guys were in Wuhan, and then right around that same time is when the outbreak happened. So this is like almost a domino effect with events here that you could just line up. So again, Event 201 could just be just a weird coincidence that they were just planning for this. How are we going to economically recover from a coronavirus that takes out 65 million people? And, some of the people who are producing the vaccine right now, those guys were there at that. Johnson & Johnson were there, you know what I mean?
Well, that would make sense, though, right?
I guess they would have to be participating if they were going to be part of the recovery effort. It's like Bill Gates has been scaring us for 10 years now about a pandemic, and then, he's also the guy who's funding the cure. Oh. Is that just suspicious a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, but the government is paying for it as well, right? We're paying for the research to be done.
I mean, okay, as far as what everybody is contributing and how they're all participating, I said I've looked into it, but some of the stuff is obvious, you know what I mean? Like it just seems to me that we've always known when we're sick. When we're, before this, we know when you're sick because you don't feel good, you have symptoms, you don't go to work, you don't go to school, whatever it is. And then when you feel better, well, then you get up and you get back to normal. Well, now this is like, oh no, all you asymptomatic people better mask up and quarantine and social distance. And it just seems like overdone. It's over, you know what I mean?
It may have been overreaction, possibly. I mean,
because we didn't know.
We didn't have anything like this.
Yeah, we didn't know how this virus is going to react or, affect the people.
Yeah.
So it could have been, they were more cautious than they needed to be. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, making decisions about all of our health, right? And so even in Texas now, the mask mandate's been lifted, almost 2 weeks ago now. Mm-hmm. That doesn't matter because you can't go to Walmart or Denny's or your job or anywhere without wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't work in a medical field, but my job requires me to wear a mask as long as I'm on their property, not just in their building, but on their property. Like, why are they medical experts? I mean, I guess they're talking to people who are talking to the coronavirus task force people. But they've been wrong all along. You just said they didn't know. They still don't know. I mean, you know what I mean?
But lifting the mandate was probably a political move anyway, because of the winter storm, how bad it was. And
so it wasn't a health move? It wasn't like...
You think the Texas governor is concerned about...
Well, then why was the mandate put in place in the first place if it wasn't for health?
Probably political pressure. He's a politician. He's not a scientist. I mean, he looks at the political winds. That's all that is.
I mean, I get that. I agree. I mean, it's politics. It's not a matter of health,
And also, I think he wanted to be one of the first ones to lift mandate.
Because Texas is free.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could be like, look what I did. Oh,
Yeah.
look what I did.
Look what I did.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's probably
For
what that
y'all.
was. Y'all.
It is for y'all.
Yeah, I mean, he did it at a Mexican restaurant,
Yeah, he sure did. So.
right? So, I mean, it was all optics.
Well, yeah.
Doesn't a little bit you kind of feel like social control?
What's that? What he did?
The whole like mask mandates and the like, because this isn't just local. I mean, this is happening all over the world, right?
Yeah.
It seems
For the
like
most part.
I mean, how else are you going to protect people? I mean, how... I don't get what you're trying to get at.
okay, but by you saying that, AJ, you're making me think that governments really care about us and want to protect us.
No, it's not that, but it's just the fallout of people, that many people dying. It hurts an economy. Oh, they're looking at numbers. They're not looking at individual feelings about people. They're looking at the practical matters of overrun health systems, people not working, like lost manufacturing, things like that. They're looking at all those things, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, there are only certain number of hospitals, certain number of beds.
Yeah, they don't care
I mean,
about
they're
you
only
or me.
But with some of those measures, though, they actually hurt the economies and hurt jobs and stuff.
And so the calculation was that this is better for the economy than having millions of people die. So that was the calculation they made.
Also, I mean, there are only certain number of healthcare workers, and if they all get sick, then I mean, it'd be real trouble.
You might have a Spanish flu situation. It's pretty bad.
To replace all those people is going to take a long time. That's why they kind of, what did they do for the nurses that if they were in the last year of their nursing program, they didn't have to have their license. They could practice.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think they eliminated that requirement for a time being.
Yeah. Yeah, so, again, it could be an overreaction. Look, government's made of people, so. Could be an agenda, could be an overreaction, could be.
Yeah, I mean, it was for businesses. I mean, if businesses don't have people that can work there, they're not going to function.
Yeah. The whole world thought it was a good idea, I guess.
Yeah.
They all did it. Why is that?
I mean,
Right,
why?
They do think it's a good idea. Yeah. But we don't. I mean, I don't think any of this stuff's a good idea. I still want to be able to have my freedoms that I had before the coronavirus pandemic. You know what I mean? I don't want somebody telling me to wear a mask. That's health advice, medical advice.
I mean, you're still free.
Sure.
I mean, you don't have to go to Walmart.
You can order from Amazon.
Yeah, and just have it delivered. Everything.
Okay. So I guess this is my point here, fellas, that the same government that we have both all agreed that we don't trust on these issues, on these other issues, we're just going to say, yeah, we believe them on this one. We should, it's okay, whatever they're doing on this.
No, that's not what we're saying. we're not telling you to believe in the government or not believe. What we're saying is there are certain facts, and those facts matter. The fact is that this is a virus, and it spreads very easily. We found out, even with first of all, they thought asymptomatic people do not spread, but they found out that these people are just as much of a spreader that infected people. That are.
And we know that.
Yeah.
Other diseases have carriers that don't have any symptoms. That's
Right.
not.
So that fact right there is probably my least favorite fact about this whole thing. Now I guess I understand the gestation period is like 14 days, whatever. But if you've been following the guidelines and you've been avoiding people and places and social distancing, wearing masks, and you feel fine, it's not reasonable to think that you don't need to. I feel like I'm reasonably healthy. I'm only 44 years old. I don't feel like I'm going to get the coronavirus and die. So I should be able to not wear a mask, or if you are somebody who has a compromised immune system, you're afraid you're going to get it. Well, you need to stay home then. But that doesn't mean I should have to, or you know what I mean. I'm just saying there's probably lots of people in California and most likely in New York City that had to shut down their businesses, and the police were stopping their businesses from open. That's crazy, dude. Over some upper respiratory.
Yeah, and we agree. I mean, if the government is going to tell you to shut down your restaurant or your business,
Then they should pay you.
then they should be compensated.
Yeah.
We agree on that fact.
I mean,
Maybe.
government should not be in business to tell people what to do as far as a business goes. They want to open, fine. Open, tell them this is what you have to do.
Yeah. So, I absolutely. The government saying you can't go to work and get your paycheck, that's evil. You're still getting your paycheck while you're sitting there saying, I can't go get mine.
Yeah.
Not wearing a mask, but it's a big deal. And that's another thing is the level of hypocrisy with it. No, everybody's got to be wearing a mask. You guys aren't wearing a mask. You guys are cheek to cheek over here with the people that you're making the policy with.
Put their mask down here.
And I think that's what, and I can't be the only one that's getting frustrated about stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Well, there's always that double standard we don't like about politicians, and they get away with things that nobody else can. It's not just the mask thing; it's everything else.
I mean, that's the thing. I think the issue you have with the government telling you not to go to work is not the fact that they can't go to work, is because you're not able to earn money, your living.
Or maybe it
not
is
just
they can't
that,
go to work.
not just that, but it's just like, what if I was one of those people, AJ, in California, who had a donut shop or a sandwich shop, but I had to close my doors because of coronavirus. But right down the street, there's a Walmart that's being open.
That's what I was saying. That if they're gonna tell donut shop to close, fine, then provide the revenues that they were earning.
But why is Walmart open, though?
Yeah.
It's necessity?
I mean, if Walmart is open, that's fine. They can have it open. That's fine. But if you're going to tell donut shop to close, okay. If donut shop was making $30,000 a month, okay. Government now provides $30,000 a month in revenues.
Then no problem, right?
Yeah. No problem. Nobody would have it. I don't think donut shop owner would have an issue because I don't think he wakes up in the morning, loves making donuts. I mean, there may be some people out there.
There may be some out there. People I see, they seem
but
to enjoy
at
their
2
jobs.
o'clock in the morning, he goes to work.
Yeah.
And making donuts.
Well, it's passion, AJ.
Yeah.
You understand their passion.
There are very few people I know that like to do what they do.
You need to get out more. Yeah, well, your point is taken, Michael. We see what you're saying.
I mean, the point we agree. I mean, it's if government is going to tell you to do something, then they should be held liable to provide all the other things that come along with that.
Unless there's a broader point to be made that they shouldn't tell us to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do we elect them to tell us what to do?
Yeah, we do.
We do.
They're your lawmakers. That's what they do.
Okay, right, the lawmakers, sure.
It's exactly what their job is.
I wonder if it would look like if all of us, every last one of us could vote on every single law, or you know what I mean?
I think it's a good idea.
That'd be real democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, it's not what we have.
Yeah.
Be complicated. Maybe not. I don't know.
Sometimes it seems to me that all the warnings that were given to us by, previous presidents, previous intellectuals, even, nonfiction authors, have all been ignored to this point, and we've gotten exactly what they warned us about. And like here we are now at the beast is just, the government has too much power, period. Period. That's it. That's just where we're at. And there's nothing you or I can do about it because we're just kind of like waking up, or we're just kind of being born, and this is already going on before we got here.
Yeah.
We're just kind of waking up and learning about what's around us and going, oh, so that's how everything works? Wow, that's messed up. I mean, that was my impression of how, because up until like my mid-20s, I never paid attention to none of this shit. And then it occurred to me one day, like, my mom and dad did. They paid attention. They knew what was going on. They had their favorite politicians, and they were paying attention, so maybe I need to start paying attention.
Yeah, look at
so
this.
when I started paying attention, I was like, that's how this shit works? That's messed up. and no matter what realm you were talking about, like how we use our military or the economy or what's really going on with the political parties, I was like, that's what they do? Really? Most of it just seemed like ass backwards and just like a corruption everywhere.
Yeah.
Wait, that's what lobbying is? And
yeah, I mean, to lesser and greater extents, yeah, that's how it is around the world. This is the model that we've settled upon for some reason. Who knows?
And you guys had a previous guest on that I've had many conversations with about political subjects, and
right.
He's convinced me that it doesn't matter what you do because government is inevitable, and eventually, authoritarian government is inevitable.
It may be. It may be.
We may already have it.
Yeah. Just not as transparent as some of the other ones.
And as much as I didn't want to agree with that, and I was restless and just like, no, there's got to be some kind of answer I can reach for and grab and put in front of him. I had to agree with him. That's where I'm at this point.
I mean,
guess
in some ways, we already have an authoritarian government. I mean, it's not by the will of the people.
No.
I mean,
look at the laws that are passed.
yeah. I mean,
It's never the case.
healthcare, universal healthcare polls somewhere around 70%.
And this is something.
Why don't we have it?
I'm almost surprised it hasn't gotten brought up until now. But I didn't want to focus on the George Floyd case. That's I'm sure that's where the buzz is right now. But
Sure.
What I do want to say about that is I think that there's a conversation that needs to happen in this country about policing and police tactics, but it needs to happen apart from the racial conversation. You know what I mean?
I don't know that it can at this point. I mean, that was the purpose of policing, right? It was to track down slaves. Like
And that's how police started. Yeah.
I don't know if much has changed. The ideology in the police force is, I don't know, it's corrupted anyway. Just the way they police, minority neighborhoods should be criminal the way it's done. There's not like community policing. It's not like they're not part of the neighborhood. They just a lot of them don't live there, come from outside, don't know anybody there. I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
So you just did exactly what I didn't want us to do. But I mean, no. But you guys are raising valid points. If that's and I didn't know about. I mean, I have heard that before, but it might have been
What is it?
the fact that the police got started that way.
Yeah. I mean,
It was just recently that I heard that, but
I mean, you may not trust the source, but the FBI's released reports over the years about the influence of white supremacy in police departments. They become police officers to gain the training and have influence in these communities. So that's a problem, right? That's a problem that's not being dealt with. And then you have the wall of silence from these police officers who don't want to speak out against their teammates or
right. And I would say yet a bigger problem is the fact that they have qualified immunity. You know, anything and everything can fall under, well, this is what we're supposed to do. This is our training or policy. You know what I mean? All these things that we do are acceptable, but they're absolutely not.
No, they're not.
And anyway, this is such a hard conversation to have because everybody has like a relative that's a cop, or their cops in their neighborhood are just fine. And I would say this, dude, probably 95% of police officers are just through and through good human beings, and they're just trying to make the world a better place, starting with their community. I really feel that way. But then there's the other ones that, like, I myself have seen too many instances, I've read too many and seen the videos of just cops like abusing people and abusing their rights and just shooting and killing people that were not just minorities, but
even knowing they're on video. That's the kind of impunity they have. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. And so essentially we're helpless against the police.
But if you question it, a certain side of this country says, well, you're unpatriotic and you're criticizing the police. You can't do that. Why not? They're not special. They're not saints. They're human beings.
Exactly.
So I don't believe anybody's above reproach. Anybody. So we've proven that, I think, on this show many
we're
times.
talking about an armed force that's out here with us, intermixing with us, that has qualified immunity.
Yeah.
And that means they could give you any order, no matter how ridiculous. And if you don't obey it, your life is now in danger. And you can't defend your life against, like me. Like if I was going to attack you, you could defend your life against me up to including my death. You shoot or harm or even just look at him wrong. Well, now you're resisting arrest and you got charges on you. This is everything gets overblown. You know what I mean?
It does.
Even like I'm sure you guys are aware. I mean, traffic stops just become like nightmares for people. And a lot of times, it's minorities. Those are the ones that we see.
Yeah. We've seen them. I've seen them.
I mean, it's a problem for everybody. I mean, it can be a white person. The other day there was a case. This guy walked in Walmart with the helmet on, with the motorcycle helmet, and he didn't take it off. So the Walmart manager calls the police. The police comes and they start lecturing him. You know, why do you need to take off your helmet? You walked in. And this has happened just after El Paso shooting. So they arrested him, put him in jail.
Wearing a helmet?
Helmet.
Is that a crime in El Paso?
It's not a crime. I mean, it was in Colorado, but it's not a crime.
Did they feel threatened?
And the surveillance video shows, you know, the manager came up to him and not up to him, but, you know, telling him to take it off, and he didn't and he was wearing headphones, so he didn't hear him. Even then, the DA dropped all charges.
Yeah. I mean, why not, right?
But he spent 36 hours in jail. His bike got towed, so he had to pay that to get it out. When all those expenses occurred, he sued him afterward. I mean, we don't know what the outcome is. But did those actions of the police made communities safe? No.
Oh my God, dude!
It
Wonderful.
made it
I
worse.
couldn't put it better myself. I couldn't put it better myself.
I mean, it did any of that action help the police case? No.
Right. That's absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. That's absolutely my point. Are they in some cases a force for good in the community, or are they making people's lives nightmares because of something simple that just could have been nothing?
Yeah, I mean, not everything has to be dealt with like with a hammer. I mean,
right.
I mean, you just don't have to arrest everybody. You come across a case, you can at that moment you can decide, okay, is that helping the situation or not? Is it making better?
Now, see, I'm so relieved right this moment, fellas, and I got to tell you why. Because any other time I'm having this conversation, usually at this point, the other side says, you don't know how dangerous it is out there, and those cops get shot when they approach these cars and they get killed. Okay, sure. But I bet you way more pedestrians die at the hands of the police than policed by the hands of the people. And when they try to disagree with me, I'll just go to the FBI's website and show them that it's like 10-1. The numbers are 10-1.
I mean, being a police officer is not even the most dangerous job. It ranks at 10th or 11th on the list of the most dangerous jobs. Being a convenience store clerk is more dangerous than being a police officer. So,
based on what, murder statistics or something?
And so it's not. They can't use that as an excuse either.
I'm just saying,
unless you want to.
There is a conversation that should take place apart from, the racial thing. I mean, because the race thing is, okay, just real quick, if you talk about the Derek Chauvin and his pals that most likely were responsible for George Floyd's death, everybody wants to say, well, those guys are racist. I say, that doesn't matter if they're racist or not, because the jury's going to say, did you know that what you were doing was wrong or right? Mm-hmm. Did you know that there's a penalty for that? That's it. That guy's personal racial feelings don't matter.
I don't think police is, I mean, police is, maybe there are some racist police out there. I mean, there is.
There are.
Sure.
But once you put on a uniform, it doesn't matter. You're white, black, Mexican. You become part of the club, part of that blue club. And even black officers are just as racist against their own people.
Just as violent. We've seen videos. Was it Atlanta?
I think, that little girl? Yeah. That.
Pulled her out
there
of the
was
car.
another case where this guy refused to sit down. He just refused to sit down. He was telling him to sit down. He was a black officer and a black guy. Telling him to sit down. He didn't want to sit down. So he punched him in the face until he was knocked out.
And what can we do against that?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Can you intervene?
He was knocked out. He was arrested for, what do they call it?
Resisting arrest?
Resisting arrest.
And injuring the
Yeah.
officers. I don't know.
So, and this was a black officer. So, I mean, there
is
a problem in the police, the way we train police, actually.
Yeah, the environment.
I think that you're right, but also I think that qualified immunity, if you just walk around all day with 38 going, I'm untouchable, can't touch me. Dude, you're probably not going to check yourself all the time.
You're not.
And you might be having a bad day and somebody starts acting disrespectful, like, oh, no, they didn't. I'm a cop.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And then it's just like whatever you've been working out with, you're just going to unleash on somebody.
Well, remember we saw that in McKinney when that cop body slammed that little black girl?
Yeah.
He had just come from a suicide, I think. Was it a suicide?
Yeah.
And he was already just, discombobulated. So he gets to this scene here and he lost it. Body slammed this little 15-year-old girl like, oh, my God. So it does affect your mental state.